All right. Back at it on the Heavenly Spheres. Third session tonight, or third video. I don't know what to call them exactly, but we are on page 48 and we are starting under the subtitle The Nature of the Signs. Here we go. The nature of the signs. Aries is masculine, diurnal, of fire, choleric, hot and dry, cardinal or movable, ruled by Mars. The combination of fire and cardinality create a very rapid and dynamic expression with a great brilliance and energy. The ruler Mars gives it a courageous nature, which may exaggerate its tendencies to the point of aggression. Taurus, feminine, nocturnal, of earth, melancholic, which is cold and dry, fixed or solid, ruled by Venus. This sign, which combines the earth element, which is a fixed mode, displays a conservative, stable, and tenacious nature, but also inertia with a tendency towards stubbornness. Its ruler Venus gives it a touch of grace and tolerance. Gemini is masculine, diurnal, of air, sanguine, which is hot and moist. It's mutable by, by corporeal or common and ruled by Mercury. The mutable air of this sign represents movement and swiftness with traces of instability and dispersion. To this is added the dynamism, versatility, and vivacity. Vivacity? Yeah, vivacity of the ruler Mercury, intensifying its variability and bustle. We move on to Cancer, which is feminine and nocturnal, of water, phlegmatic, which is cold and moist, cardinal or movable, and ruled by the moon. This combination of cardinality or water produces a dynamic but little externalized expression, which results in sentimental and defensive behaviors. The rulership of the moon adds a vacillating, alternating nature with cyclical variations. Next up, we have Leo, which is masculine, diurnal, of fire, choleric, which is hot and dry, fixed or solid, and ruled by the sun. Because it's fixed and fiery, this sign has a positive expression characterized by constancy and solidity, which can be imposing, like a king. Imposing. The sun is ruler. It gives it a powerful, radiant, and grandiose aspect. Virgo is feminine, nocturnal, of earth, melancholic, which is cold and dry, mutable by corporeal or common, ruled by Mercury. The mutable earth of this sign combines the characteristics of concreteness and versatility, producing multifaceted efficiency. Mercury, the ruler, adds swiftness and a certain lightness. Libra is masculine, diurnal, of air, sanguine, which is hot and moist, cardinal or movable, ruled by Venus. The air element combined with the cardinal mode produces in this sign a fluid and dynamic expression. Venus endows it with softness, a touch of beauty, and artistic expression. Scorpio, feminine, nocturnal, of water, and phlegmatic, which is cold and moist. Fixed or solid, ruled by Mars. This sign combines the emotiveness and sensitivity of the water element to the stability and the stubbornness of fixed mode, producing a defensive and persevering expression of which the emotions occupy a central focus. Mars, the ruler, contributes to its bellicose nature. Of Sagittarius, we have masculine, diurnal, of fire, choleric, which is hot and dry, mutable by corporeal or common, ruled by Jupiter. The mutable fire produces a multifaceted expression, positive but directed toward various simultaneous objectives. The nature of Jupiter, the ruler, adds a sense of justice and temperance, which somewhat stabilize the combination. For Capricorn, we have feminine, nocturnal, of earth and melancholic, which is cold and dry, cardinal or movable, and ruled by Saturn. This cardinal sign of the earth combines action with constructive impulse, which produce an essentially pragmatic nature. Saturn endows it with a deliberation and persistence, producing a resistant, rigorous, disciplined, but conservative expression. Aquarius. This is the one like fixed air. It's like the hardest one for me to get or to understand. Aquarius. Masculine, diurnal, of air, sanguine, hot and moist, fixed or solid, ruled by Saturn. The fixed air associates the fluid and dynamic characteristics with constancy and perseverance, giving rise to an expression that is distant, individualistic, and with a great tendency towards abstraction. And by distant, emotionally distant. Pisces. Feminine, nocturnal of water, phlegmatic, which is cold and moist, mutable, bicorporeal or common, and ruled by Jupiter. The sign of mutable water combines sensibility and variability, which produces a multiplicity of expressions and sentiments. Jupiter associates its temperance with this dynamism, producing an idealism and moderation. The nature of the sign defines everything that it represents: behaviors and objects, places and regions, spatial directions, the parts of the body, etc. For example, the sign Gemini represents a multifaceted, mutable, curious, and communicative behavior, air element, but also indicates a mountainous terrain with hills or gaming and entertainment places. In the human body, it represents the arms and the hands. Additional characteristics. The nature of the sign can also be complemented by a set of other secondary attributes. These secondary characteristics enrich the description of the sign and are applied when a more detailed or specific description of a person, action, or tendency shown by the sign is needed. Thus, the signs are also bestial, referring to beast or animal, or quadruped, which is you're going to find this in Aries, Taurus, Leo, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. There are the human or humane signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Libra, Aquarius, and the first half is Sagittarius. He's half man. So is bestial the back half of Sagittarius, the last half? So we also have fierce or feral, which is one sign, and it's Leo. This classification is associated with the images, animal or human, that make up the signs in terms of interpretation. They refer to subtle behavioral traces. The quadruped sign imparts a behavior similar to the animal it symbolizes, in that it has an abrupt physical expression. The human signs, those represented by human figures, describe a more social behavior with a greater propensity for communication and the use of the mind. The sign Leo is characterized as fierce, as it's represented by a wild animal. Therefore, thereby one attributes more assertive and pointed characteristics to it. That word. We also have fertile, barren, moderately fertile, and moderately barren. And of those, fertile is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Read water. Of the barren signs, we have Gemini, Leo, and Virgo. Of the moderately fertile, we have the Taurus, Libra, and Sagittarius. And of moderately barren, we have Aries, Capricorn, and Aquarius. I guess it's where does life live? Where does life want to grow? This classification is used when one desires to obtain a number or quantity. For example, in a study of a chart to determine the probable number of children or siblings, it is apparent the fertile signs correspond to many and the barren signs correspond to none, or in some cases, one, and the remaining to a few, only one or two. So we have this classification of voice, of strong voice, of middle voice, and mute. Of the strong voice, we have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Of middle voice, we have Virgo, Capricorn, and Aquarius. And of mute, we have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. This classification characterizes the personal individual's oratory and is generally applied to the ascending sign and to the sign placement of Mercury. Due to its connection with speech and communication, the signs of strong voice easily project their voice, those of middle voice have an average voice, and the mute signs tend to shut down in their vocal expression. Next, we have of foods. We have flavors, bitter, sweet, salty, and sour. For bitter, we have Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. For sweet, we have Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. For salty, we have Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And for sour, we have Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This classification is useful in the description of foods, medications, and other elements of the medical nature. These are the attributes more frequently used in astrological practice. It is important to keep in mind that these attributes must be integrated into the appropriate interpretive context. Understandably, it makes no sense to include attributes such as bitter or fertile in the description of behavior. Similarly, in the description of an object, the use of the attributes such as impulsive or emotional are equally absurd. So then we have this like ascension time. We have long ascension or oblique, and we have short ascension or straight. Oblique can also be crooked ascension. Of the long, crooked, oblique ascension, we have Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. And of short ascension or straight, we have Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. This classification refers to the time it takes each sign to rise over the horizon due to the inclination of the Earth's axis. The signs do not all take the same time to rise. The exact use of this division will be covered in a subsequent chapter, of which I'm quite curious. Interpretation of the signs. The signs are like divisions on a board game. They're only relevant in an interpretation when there is something placed in them. Thus, a sign colors with its qualities any planet or astrological point in the horoscope that is located in it. The expression of that planet or factor is then molded by the sign and acquires a set of traits that condition its manifestation. The planets possess their own natures, but their movement through the signs alter its manifestation of that nature. It is from this combination of the natures of the 5 planets and the luminaries with the 12 basic qualities of the signs that all diversity of expression in nature are derived. This expression may be translated into various forms: human behavior, climactic variations, worldly events, etc. Okay, 13 minutes. Let's go ahead and call it. Yeah. Be back in a minute.